is Gaetan, and last year I was sat here in this very room, completely starstruck at my peers' TED Talks. However, this amazement didn't necessarily come from the speeches or the topics they presented, rather from how they presented them. And in that moment, a dream of sorts was born. I want to do that. I want to be like them. I want to speak like them. See, at the time, you could have asked any of my friends, and each and every one of them would say I was notoriously bad at public speaking, or speaking at all for that matter. Usually, it was something like this. I'd go up on stage, I'd say some intro sentence I had memorized before, and then freeze. Well, it was so infuriating because I knew what I wanted to say. I knew I had all the points somewhere deep in my head, but when it actually came to speaking them, saying them out loud, I just couldn't do it. My mind went blank. Well, it had to change. And as I said before, this epiphany of mine came from seeing other people speak publicly. And actually getting their point across. People listening to them and actually seeming to be interested in what they had to say. Well, I had to change. But the only way I could even change was for practice. And how could I even practice public speaking? I mean, how often do you really get the chance to present something, speak publicly, or discuss or debate someone? And come on, even if I did debate someone, I wouldn't really gain anything from experience. I'd just be tossed into the deep end by having to talk with someone more experienced than me, someone who knew how to play the game better than I did. And in the end, I had no experience. I just stutter. I just retreat and just be lost in my shyness. However, right now, today, I stand before you all, and I'd like to tell you about the steps I took to, well, be here, be where I am right now, and talk to all of you. Well, first of all, I had to work on my articulation skills. By articulation, I mean to properly connect the points in my head on the go. I know it sounds quite obvious, that's what I had to do, but to properly do this, I decided to make presentations. The reason I had to make presentations was to, well, familiarize myself with speaking on the go, right? The presentations had to be about simple topics. For example, cast here, or video games, or music, or movies, or art, or anything really that I knew a lot about. The thing is to familiarize myself with the foundations of public speaking, to get myself over the roadblock of not being able to speak in front of an audience. Once I got that down, I actually was able to tackle more difficult topics, such as astrophysics, for example, and then I would only actually have to be worried about the factual content of the presentations, rather than how to speak properly and how to structure my speeches. Next up, I had to get rid of filler words. Filler words are words that add no real value to your speeches and only elongate them. While that might be helpful to give you more time to think about what you want to say, they ruin the integrity of your speech. Now I'd like to take a look at both of those essays. As you can see, one of them has highlighted filler words, and one of them has none of them. Now I'd like to think which one is more coherent, concise, and gets to the point faster. It's the one on the right? So now, but why do you want to write essays? I mean, again, and how do you write them? Usually essays are linked to something more so difficult, and again, here it's the main point is to familiarize with the foundations and just eliminate the filler words. So the main point here is to write essays about simple things, similarly to the presentations and things that you know a lot about. Write the essays as if you were thinking them, so that you can see and catch all those filler words that you just write out. As you did, and as I did that, each and every one iteration of my essays had less and less filler words, and in turn, my mind began automatically omitting them, and in turn, my speeches became more coherent and succinct. Now, the third thing, and one thing that I didn't really think I'd actually have a problem with, was my confidence. More so the portrayal of confidence. See, I actually had to dig very deep for me to realize this problem, and I only really fully noticed it once a friend of mine pointed it out. this friend of mine, she tried very hard to contribute to the class discussion, and she just couldn't get through. People were talking over her, while what she was talking about was correct and made full sense. And after the class, she came out to me. She actually told me what she wanted to say, because she was so frustrated that she just wasn't able to speak during the class. And I realized, wow, she had the same problems as I did. And the reason why she couldn't speak was because she just wasn't confident at all. Now, I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you came here because there was a topic that you wanted an answer to so badly, that you wanted to hear about? And how many of you came here for the novelty of the TED Talk? To be a part of something greater, a well-known event? Because that's another thing that I found out in quite a painful way, is that most people come here for the show rather than the actual factual value. And here's a great example. I could make the most interesting, most exciting presentation about a relatively boring topic, such as potatoes, and I would argue it would garner more attention than a beige, and uninteresting and unsure presentation about an interesting topic, such as astrophysics. Now, so the one thing I want to take from this is that you have to portray confidence, because if you don't portray confidence, no one's going to think that you're right. Now, there's one more topic I wanted to talk about, and it's the using of AI. Now, I'm sure you've all heard enough about how AI is harmful for the environment, how it's immoral to use, how it steals your data. And while all of that is completely true, for me, the biggest problem I have is that it dulls you. By using AI, you willingly give up your skills of critical thinking, and you willingly give up your skills of critical thinking and just read what you're given. Now, don't be wrong. I am also guilty of using AI back in the day, and I was just so enchanted by the fact that I could just put in the prompt and the AI would just spit out the full argumentation for me. But what I didn't know was that the reason, or let's say the process of getting that argumentation, of actually learning it, was what actually let me say it. And I have a very big problem, and I'm sure other people have that too, that we cannot really lie that easily. That especially during big speeches, it's difficult to say something that isn't real. And that's what I felt when I was using AI. And well, to stop using AI, it was quite simple just to stop using AI, except, well, undoubtedly it was a difficult process and quite a painful one at that, because I had just become so, well, dependent and quite addicted to the usage of AI. And so yeah, so using AI. Now, at the end, I'd like to circle back to my dream from the beginning. That if I can be here, standing in front of you all, and make a presentation about anything, just being in a TED Talk, is enough proof that all of you can as well. And there's one more thing I always want to say during a scenario like this, and it's thank you for listening to my TED Talk.